Hello, and welcome to the third episode of The Possibility of Poetry. My name is Jackie. I have been an English teacher for over 30 years. So, the possibility of poetry. This podcast is about taking the mystery out of poetry, um, taking that initial reaction that some of us have of like, I don't get this, I don't understand this, and giving you your power back to understand poetry on your own terms. There's no one hidden message inside a poem that you need to torture and scrape out of. And then you've just got this dry theme in front of you. You get to make the meaning that is going to fulfill the possibility of poetry. And what's one of those possibilities? Hope. Hope in yourself, hope in humanity, hope in relationships. Because poetry takes you to that level, beyond the literal. It takes you to that level, um, that soul connecting level that all of humans share. So remember last week we talked about the Freudian iceberg and how consciousness, what your brain is aware of, is just a tip of that iceberg, and that the rest of that frozen mass is your unconscious, giving you messages, images. And that's what poetry gives you. Poetry gives you those images, images that other humans have had that are probably going to resonate with you in some way. Not one particular way that you have to figure out, but in a way that your brain makes sense of, that you can use in your life, that you can just feel good that we're here on this planet together. Um, Today we're going to talk about other ways that poetry um, interacts with your brain and has possibility. So let's talk about the evolution of your brain. So we all know about Darwin, and he had this idea of survival of the fittest, and that if you are in an environment that you are not adapted to, then your genes will not be passed on because you can't adapt to that environment. So, you're going to leave that environment. You guys have heard about the Darwin Awards, right? And it's silly, but also very tragic of people that have made really poor positions, decisions, and have taken themselves out of the gene pool. If you haven't ever seen the Darwin Awards, that you might find it amusing. So, our why did we as human beings survive? And we can be like, oh yeah, all animals are the same. We need to live in harmony on the planet. Totally agree with all of that. But we do dominate this planet. Just where we are, how many of us there are, how we use the environment, to benefit us. We're top of the food chain. There's nothing that kills us on a regular basis besides each other. So how did we get here? I mean, we're pretty frail. Like a chimpanzee has got like a chimpanzee half our size has like the strength of 4 or 5 mustachioed firemen. Our teeth aren't very sharp. We're not very good in a fight, and we can't run very fast, and we can't climb very high. Why us? Why us at the top? Some people have said it's because of these amazing opposable thumbs. And don't get me wrong, I love my opposable thumbs. But what the opposable thumbs do for us is help us with tools. And there's been a lot of research lately of finding animals that also use tools. So the big thing that has put us on top is these big old brains of ours. And so why did our brains develop so big? Why do we need them? And the answer is language, communication. And it's one of those like feedback loops. right? We needed to grow our need for language, for communication, and therefore our brains grew. And then as our brains grew, we had more capacity for language and communication. And so that got more embedded in our society and more and more and more and more and more and more. I mean, just think about how long it takes for a little human to fully be integrated into our society and community. I mean, we're not born like other creatures knowing what to do, having instincts, being able to fly, being able to hunt, being able to run as soon as, we pop out of our mother's vaginas. It takes time. Sometimes 20 years, and sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes a lot longer than that to figure everything out because we are so complex. Here is here's a quote from this amazing book called Sex at Dawn that really I can't think of any way to say it better. Language enables our deepest, most human feature, the ability to form and maintain a flexible, multidimensional, adaptive social network. Before and beyond anything else, human beings are the most social of all creatures. That is why we have this big brain, because we need it for language, for communication, and that is poetry. So just think about the worst torture that we have now. Physical torture, also very awful, but solitary confinement. I mean, you don't even have to make much effort. You just have to put somebody away and they'll go crazy. They need interaction. We need interaction. And that is the possibility of poetry, that you can interact with people, okay, on a cold, dead page, but using language in such a way that you can feel alive today. Ta-da! Possibility of poetry. So today we are going to be reading a poem by one of my very favorite poets, WB Yeats. He lived from 1865 to 1939 in Ireland, but he was an Englishman in Ireland. And if you know anything about Irish history or English history, that was kind of a troublesome place to be. Our guiding image today, right behind me, if you're watching the video, is the Nine of Wands. And look at that beautiful jazzercise dress she's got on. Ooh, girl, shake it. So the Nine of Wands, and you can see all of the wands behind her, is about resilience. It is perseverance. It is strength. It is patience. It's knowing in your heart that you have to go on. Maybe you're taking a little break right now from it, but you have the power and the majesty, look at those wands, to succeed, just not now. And what we're succeeding in this poem is society, but also solitary. All right, so here's the format. So the format is that I read it and you do not have to rush to meaning. You can just let it kind of flow over you and see what happens. Remember Jung's brick wall. See what comes through the chinks in the brick wall of this poem. See what makes some sense to you. And then I'm going to pause a little bit and maybe something else will come up. Maybe a word or phrase or nothing. And that's okay too. And then I'm going to read it again. And then I'm going to give you some ideas which you can use or not. You can make your own meaning from this poem. But like we talked about in the very first episode, let yourself be a fool. Let yourself play. Let yourself not understand and not turn away in frustration, but just to sit with it. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. So this is the first time through. And just a reminder, it doesn't have to mean anything. Okay, this is called the Lake Isle of Innisfree. I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree, on a small cabin build there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the veils of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, while I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's gray. I hear it in the deep heart's core. All right, I'm going to read it again. The Lake Isle of Innisfree. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the veils of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, while I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's gray. I hear it in the deep heart's core. So I think it's kind of irony, isn't it? That I just did this intro with we need community and we need language, but what this language is communicating is needing to be alone sometimes, dreaming of the peace of being alone. It was that Jean-Paul Sartre, he said, hell is other people. I know we can all connect with that. We've been in hell with other people before. All right. So I'm going to give you some suggestions, some ways of thinking about it. But again, you don't have to. So here's our big poetry word for today, imagery. Imagery, breaking it down, means images. It means appealing to the five senses. Okay, let's try to go through them. You ready? We have sight, we have sound, we have taste, we have touch, we have hearing. Woo, got them all. And they're all in this poem. This very short poem. He's got a lot of the imagery. He wants to put you right there on the Lake Isle of Innisfree. By the way, this is a an island off the coast of County Sligo in Ireland, and it's actually uninhabited, which contributes to the meaning of the poem if you want it to. Nobody actually lives there or ever has. So he's going to arise. And I love that word, to arise. You can arise out of your bed in the morning. Ideas can arise. I think it's also kind of a religious connotation to Christ arising from the dead. So he's going to arise and go now to Innisfree. And you can see it. There's a small cabin he's going to build there of clay and wattles made. So a simple thing. He's not bringing over some timber. He's not making bricks. He's taking what naturally occurs in that environment, and wattles are like reeds. And he's going to make himself a home. He's going to make himself a garden. 9 bean rows will I have there. A hive for the honeybee. There's our first taste, a taste of honey. And live alone in the bee loud glade. And there's our first hearing. So we see this, we taste this, we hear this. I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slowly. Thinking about a drop. It's a small amount, but also when it's a drop, it doesn't have intention. It when rain drops, when any other liquid drops. Also, it sounds really cool, doesn't it? Drop. It's without intention. So he's going to be there, and peace without intention is just going to drop slow, no hurry. So all these places, peace is going to drop from the veils of the morning to where the cricket sings. Again, so we've got some more sound, we've got some more sight. There, midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow. Oh, again, a glimmer. Just, I don't know. When I think of things glimmering, okay, well, first of all, I think of blossomer wings and fairies and things like that. But a glimmer is kind of like a coruscation, you know, like it's just a little bit here and there. It's not the light is not fully on. It's just a glimmer, maybe a reflection. And noon, a purple glow. Purple is one of those colors that you can wrap yourself up in. It's a royal color, purple. An evening full of the linnet's wings. You don't even need to know what a linnet is. It's something that flies, right? Because it's got wings. So again, the meaning of the poetry. I mean, if you want to go look it up and find out that it's actually a little gray songbird that eats linseed, hence the name linnet. And if that adds meaning to you, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. You just know that you hear birds in the evening. So he's repeating it. I think we've talked about repetition in every single poem. I will arise and go now. He says again in only 3 stanzas, which is just 3 blocks of the poem. He's sure about this. He will arise. And maybe that's beyond physical. We talked earlier, like that arise might have religious, maybe spiritual connotations too. Picking yourself up, right? Beyond physical. I will arise. My spirit will arise. My intention, my motivation will arise and go now. For always night and day, I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. Lake water lapping low. Here's another poetry alliteration. That's all you can do. But I mean, just think lake lapping low. Sounds by the shore. There we go. You can just feel the peace, can't you? Feel the sounds. You can feel the peace that he's going to be having in that Lake Isle of Innisfree. So then you get while I stand So this is where he's going to arise from, right? He hasn't gotten there yet. This is his dream of peace. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's gray. And that's a poetic device too, like switching the terms, because we would say, like in regular speech, a gray pavement. But he says pavement's gray. But again, poetically, we know what that means, right? There's nothing secret about that. It's concrete. Pavement's gray. I hear it in the deep heart's core. Ooh, back to that Jungian unconscious, back to that spiritual, deep heart's core. So is Innisfree an actual place that he's building literally? Or is this simply his need for peace in this world that sometimes doesn't have any hope or any possibility? And you're there in this industrialized place, and the nature that fulfills us is not there, but you can carry it with you. You can carry it in your deep heart's core. If you've ever felt that way, a wish, a real deep seated wish, again, not for anything literal, but just for a feeling of peace, a feeling that maybe you get when you're out in nature or even just sitting in your backyard. He will arise and go now and go to Innisfree. So I hope you got something out of it. If you got anything at all, that's a win. If you got one thing out of it, the idea of peace in your deep heart's core, so cool. Because remember, there is no message, one message hiding from you in this poem. This is all about you making your meaning. Back to our Nine of Wands. This is you in your patience and your resilience, waiting to find that in your deep heart's core. I hope you have a terrific day. And I hope I see you next time. Bye.